Alright, welcome to another freebie from me, Ben Komets. In this little video I will show you how to paint the awesome monkey from the Wizard of Agni. The Wizard of Agni is a wonderful miniature based on a concept by the awesome concept artist Philadeus. Check out his work at philadeus.com, and the sculpt is by Lucas Pino. It's the second release of my online, and I showed the full video and how to tackle every single bit of the miniature in the video on my Patreon channel. But this here is just to see actually how those videos look and how they work. Right, so I hope you learn a lot from that little part of the video. The full video is more than 3 hours of video material, so there's really a lot to see and a lot to learn. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video and have fun! Alright, so let's start with the fur of the monkey. I really like the color and the concept, so I'm trying to achieve something similar yet with my own touch. So I will use some of the yellow ochre with a bit of black. And a bit of the scrap brown. And sometimes if I'm not 100% sure if the color works on the palette, I just compare it next to the other parts on the model on the brush and see if that could work. And I think the tone is pretty cool. If you work very close on a reference, you can also just go ahead and paint it on your printed out reference. We will go for like a heavy base tone, and we will just cover the fur here with 1 or 2 layers of paint. The black and white foundation should give us a nice base where we already have kind of like a pre-shading done, so the color will dry darker even if we work in somewhat opaque layers of paint. Okay, I will just continue with the base tone, and we'll be back for some work with the strong tone wash to give a little bit of definition and shadow. Alright. Okay, so we have the base color in place, and before we go to add the wash for some definition in the shadow area, I thought it would be a good idea to paint the base color of the flesh. So I've added some model color red beige to the palette. We will use a tiny pinch of the armor brown to get like a slightly darker, slightly more red flesh tone, and we'll use that like in a heavy base consistency. You might have noticed that I removed the arm with the pipe to have better access. I didn't glue it into place before, I just simply blue tacked it on. And I will just fill the gaps later on with a bit of milliput, like I did in the Slaughter Priest video. Okay, so I will continue with that, and we'll be back for the glazes. Okay, so the base colors are in place, and the next thing that we'll do is we'll take plenty of strong tone, and we use it more or less directly out of the pot. So it's translucent by its own, but it should be somewhere like a heavy glaze. I will place that here in the shadow area. clean my brush and distribute it here in the shadows. Okay, and we will dilute it a bit stronger the more we go here into the highlight area. Clean brush. Just to pull out the pigments. Again, the stronger, not so diluted tone here. And we'll pull it out with a clean brush. Oops. Okay, just if something like that happens, just clean it off with the wet brush. Alright, so we will let that dry and we'll be back for the highlights of the fur. Okay, the wash dried and it looks quite good. Maybe down there in the little creases it's still a bit wet, but I think it's good enough so we can continue. For the fur, there's one quite nice and easy trick to have the fur a little bit more realistic is you start with the fur from like the lowest spot. So we will start here with painting in the little fur texture with lines, and we will continue going upwards. This way the end will overlap in a quite a natural and nice way. Okay, so I mixed the highlight tone. I'm using that in like a medium base layer consistency. And we'll start here in the lower area. Then we move up. And a bit brighter the more we go to the top. Okay, I will continue with that step of the first like two general highlights here, but I think you got the idea. See here, the look is quite nice because the hair, the layer of hair that is over the other really looks like almost three-dimensional, and it's just painted on, and just make sure it also fits dimension-wise the strands of hair that you find on your model. Okay, this is how the fur looks now. Here on the front of the leg I continued also a bit to check out the stronger highlights. So we'll do that here in the back as well. So we'll take our base color from the highlight, bring that up with quite a bit of white. And we will use that again in around rather thick consistency, so like a medium base tone. Okay, and we will use that to get like nicer, strong highlights here on those raised bits of fur. Again, we will start here in the lower area and work our way up. So up here. Okay, but I think that already looks good. So let's continue with the highlight on the flesh areas. We'll just do those with a loaded brush. Okay, so we load the back of the brush with something like a between medium and heavy glaze consistency. And white on the tip of the brush. And you can see I'm using the side of the brush. This way I can vary the amount of white quite nice and easily, yet get a nice and strong transition here. Okay, and we will continue with small loaded brushes here on the nose. A little bit too much white. Okay, so make sure you have really not a lot of paint on there because the surface is quite small. Okay, here on the ones on the forehead, I can't really pull a loaded brush here because I don't have the space to move and the wrinkles are very small, so we will just place them in layers. And also bright on the eyelids, but not really all that bright, so I'm just taking some of the base tone here to the sides. Okay, and we will continue with the loaded brush. Okay, and a little bit thicker consistency here, pre-mixed highlight tone. just to pick out some of those wrinkles here. And also like some small highlights on the nostrils here. Okay, I will continue with the highlights on the parts here of the ears, like I did here on the small wrinkles, and we will be back for details like the eyes, the lower eyelids, and a little bit of color variation on the face. Okay, so you can see I continued with the highlights on the monkey face. Next very important step is we will take some of the almond brown in like a heavy layer consistency, and we'll use that to paint the eyeballs in a dark color. And we'll use the little bit of tank brown that is left here just to get some darker tones on the inside of the ear. While the inside of the ear has a minute to dry, we can paint the eyeballs. I want them to be not like human eyes. I want it to be like a nice dark brown with a bit of this cracked brown here is a somewhat orange highlight. Okay, I switched to a smaller brush. This is Winsor Newton Series 7 0, I believe. Okay, and some white to bring up this cracked brown. I want the Ifrit monkey to be looking in the direction of his master, so I'll place the pupil just here to the upper eyelid in the direction of the wizard. Okay, you can see I went a little on the eyelid, but we can correct that once the eyes are painted. Okay, and the next thing will be a white reflex dot. Just where the pupil and the iris meet. Okay, you have to correct that. I actually just switched back to the bigger brush because I like the tip a bit better. And a little bit of that lighter orange here. Okay, and some of that lighter skin tone here to correct the eyelid. For the lower eyelid, we will mix some purple with our base tone. We will just use the purple that we've used for the lower side of the lower side of the red cape, and we'll use that in heavy layer consistency to get some color variation on the lower eyelid. Okay, and some white to that purple tone to get a nice highlight color. We will now add some color variation to the skin tone. So I want to have a little bit of that pure flat red, but very, very thin. The impact of red is always quite strong, so we're really going for super light glaze here. And we will apply that here under the cheeks. Also here a little towards the lips. And on the nose itself. And the very dark shadows, and where we want to have like the color change more visible. But when you do something like that, make sure the wash doesn't pool, because you want it to be really like a glaze, and if it pools, the pigments gather and it will look too strong. A little also here towards the very teeny tiny bridge of the nose, and just here in the ears. Okay, nice. I will see if I have to do anything, or if I can fix the eyes by pulling the figure a bit closer actually to my eye and not holding it in front of the cam. I will try to add like a little bit brighter orange color here on the lower side to make the iris more visible. Okay, but other than that, I really like the monkey face, and we'll be back for the fades and the fez and the trousers. I think I will already put the base color on there because there's nothing special about it. Alright. Okay, so you can see I've glued the armor in place. Actually, I just needed a bit of super glue to fill the gap, and it looks all fine.